Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar to go over the SAI Consultant Registry. We appreciate you taking the time, and we're excited to share some information about this nascent program that we hope will have a positive impact across the industry and provide some value for consultants and other actors as well. So SAI is Social Accountability International. It is an NGO located in New York City. We are a mission-driven nonprofit organization, and our mission is to advance human rights in the workplace. And we see that being possible only where there's a world that workers, businesses, and communities thrive together. No actor alone can raise their ship. We have varied programs across the globe. The one SAI is most famous for or most known for is the SAI 8000 Standard and Certification Program. It was one of the first labor standard certifications in the world, and it is still here 25 years later. Having an impact in many different industries, many different types of organizations through a management systems approach. We have projects, funded projects through USDOL, other private funders, some in South America, some in Asia, focusing on imparting our theory of change, our management system approach to social performance issues. We also have specific programs that we develop, like this one, where we identify a need or a gap and then invest what resources we have available to try to address that. We also perform training and capacity building along, once again, many industries. The SAI 8000 basic auditor training was one of the first social performance trainings in the world and has been taken by thousands and thousands of professionals, both auditors and other professionals, to get an insight into what goes into a social performance audit and how to address these issues. We also have a corporate programs department, which you can think of as a mission-driven consultancy, where we work either through a brand membership or through custom projects to achieve the aims of corporate actors. We have had many people put in many hours of time to be able to launch this program, but today this information will be shared by myself. I'm Chris Lamoureux. I'm the Senior Manager of Standards and Impacts. The Standards and Impacts Department manages the SAI 8000 program from a policy perspective, from a capacity building perspective, from a tools and resource perspective. And then Rochelle Zaid is here with us as well. She is the Senior Advisor to Standards and Impacts Department. She did run the department for a number of years and has been with SAI for almost 25 years, working through SOS and other activities to try to make an impact with the SAI 8000 program. And she's going to say a few words now.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you all for joining. It's great to see you all, even though I can't actually see you. But thank you for joining us. I'm Rochelle Zaid, as Chris mentioned, the Senior Advisor of Standards and Impacts at SAI. Been working and supporting the mission of SAI for many years, as I truly believe this is a great way to help the industry and the workers and those committed in business. So I just wanted to share a bit about why we established the registry and the value we see in it. We truly believe consultants play a very important part in the vision, the goals we aspire to, in the commitment to improving lives of workers globally and supporting companies' quest to achieve compliance to the international norms that we all believe in. We want to ensure that the consultants working in this space also have the knowledge and the tools they need to best support their clients and act in a responsible, transparent manner while following a strong code of ethics. We hope this program adds value to your work, because this is for you and those you serve. Chris will take you through the program in a detailed way, also talk more about why we created this and the benefits of the program. And we hope you support it and get involved in it and join the registry. And we're here to answer all your questions. Thank you again.
Thanks, Rochelle. So this webinar, the content that we're going through won't take too long. And we'll have plenty of time for questions at the end. Please, as we go through the content, add the questions to the chat box, and we will pick those up at the end. We'll go through and try to address any questions or concerns you may have. So first, we're going to review HAP, the organization that we're partnering with in order to achieve this consultant registry. We're going to review some of why we have taken the steps of developing this registry and the objectives that we have for it. We're going to review the consultant course that we are developing in connection to the registry, kind of as a first step towards imparting the skills and setting the guidelines, the context necessary to achieve our goals of the registry. We will review the criteria for participation in the registry, the costs and timelines, and consider the future state of the program. I'm going to go ahead and I believe, Andre, are you here again today? It'd be great if you could say a few words about HAP. If you're not here, please correct me or don't say anything, and I will I'll go through this.
Absolutely, I am here, and hello everyone. I'm just coming on camera so that you can see me. I can't see you, but it's a pleasure to have everyone here today and their participation. We have had a little issues with just sort of the bandwidth, so I'm going to go off camera and just say a couple of words and then hand it back over to Chris. So the first thing I want to say is, for those of you that don't know about HAP, we are in the area of supply chain due diligence. We are particularly focused in the area of substantiation of information, and we look to partner with organizations like SAI and SAI, I should say, and others, just to help in the effort to tell the credibility story about what's being done in the impact of the work. As it relates to the consultant registry, I just want to say that it's important that the work we all do across the industry, as Chris mentioned and Rochelle as well in the initial stage, that it helps to advance the respect for worker rights and labor standards and human rights. And it's sometimes when we do different parts of the work, we may kind of not always be focused on that core mission or that core mandate, and I think that's important that we keep that in mind. The second thing is, despite all the progress, there are still areas that we as an industry can continue to strengthen in order to demonstrate our impact, and thus one of the areas being the development of the consultant registry. And primarily the reason for that is that the supply chain is becoming more complex, as everyone knows, and therefore it introduces new issues and new challenges that we all face that are supporting social performance standards. And so by engaging in these sorts of initiatives to strengthen parts of our systems, it really is helping all of us to address, what I call the deficits in trust or the surplus in questions, right? Whichever way you want to be able to kind of look at that. So the most effective way we can do that is by delivering new things and listening. And so consultants play a central role for a simple reason, and that is that your work is at the center of helping a well-designed management system, around social performance standards. And so you're a very critical component. And it's important that this work is done by setting out the basis for delivering on that core mandate of advancing human rights. And so that's where the two pieces sort of connect. So I believe that this offers really exciting opportunities for all of us, as we kind of look toward that future path and we seek to build greater trust, as we face, a sort of a new generation of questions and challenges around social performance. And so we want to do everything we can to be in front of these things and to demonstrate, again, the impact against the core mission. And so that's it. And again, thank you. I really hope that everyone will really embrace and support the registry. As I mentioned earlier, and you heard from Rochelle and Chris, this is really about you as consultants and the role that you play in actually helping to build the credibility and the professionalism around that work that's being done, and more importantly, the trust. And so, Chris, I'll hand it back over to you.
All right, thank you so much, Andre. Yeah, as Andre was alluding to, there's a reason for us developing this registry now. There are general concerns about the activities of consultants and the role that consultants play in organizations within these standard systems or these social compliance systems. Rather than working to impart the skills and knowledge and manage the change within organizations, consultants often are selling a product, and that product is passing of the audit or reaching us of the certification. We see this consultant registry as a means, as a first step of creating some credibility, and that's through accountability and transparency. It's a basic verification of baseline qualifications and experience that we find might be necessary to do good consultancy in this space. And so this is not going to by itself, ensure good consultancy across the industry, but it's an important first step, and it's one that this registry, this program, will adapt and will change over time based on what we see works and what doesn't work. But this is a very exciting first step in addressing these legitimate concerns that persons have about consultancy. So as I said, the objectives of the registry are to provide a verification of baseline qualifications and skills for delivering social consultancy. HAP, the important role that HAP is playing besides setting up the technical side of the program of the registry is to verify that information that is shared. Is to contact the references, verify the the projects that the consultant has worked on, the qualifications, the certifications, the trainings, the education, all of these things that will set that baseline. HAP will be verifying each application to ensure that information is correct. This, of course, brings transparency, so you know that if a consultant is registered, that they do meet at least these baseline qualifications, and that they have some experience and some expertise around these issues. We created this registry to respond to those concerns, but also because consultancy has a huge opportunity for positive impact for organizations and for workers. We are not as standard-setting organizations. We are not in the company day in, day out, helping them implement our programs. That is a direct conflict of interest. So there is an opportunity for consultants that do this, that are engaging one-on-one in an in-depth way with these companies to really improve the understanding of these programs and the absorption of these programs, and then of course the impact for workers with these programs. So yes, there's a risk that we are responding to around social consultancy, but there's also a huge opportunity that this space provides for mission-driven organizations such as SAI. We want to also promote a methodology that delivers organizational responsibility and leadership grounded in management systems. Managing social performance issues within an organization is an incredibly complex and difficult task. The inputs and the outputs, the context of the organization, the ability of a single actor to address all of the labor concerns that they are asked to through programs such as SAI 8000 is difficult. This is why SAI's theory of change is grounded in management systems. Through a mature management system, which takes time to mature, you are able to assess risks and opportunities. You're able to define policies and processes, and then you are able to adequately control those processes to ensure you are getting the output that you want. So that output is workers who are informed, paid a decent living wage, and are productive and committed to your organization. So through a management systems approach, through time and resource investment, you can achieve benefits not just for workers, but also for the organization itself. This is obviously a complex, challenging thing to accomplish. Consultants are key to this. You'll find that as the industry continues to expand, as the expectation on actors across the globe continues to expand, that the need for consultancy is going to expand with it. And we also need consultants to act as the arbiters of a worker voice focused system. We find that a management system that does not incorporate worker voice communication, some worker ownership of the system itself, it is not effective. So we have created this consultant course as a key requisite, as kind of the first means of imparting some of this theory, some of this context, and some of the tools and soft skills necessary to achieve the goals that we have. This is not SAI trying to create another course. This is just SAI recognizing that there aren't courses available. There isn't training available that takes this specific lens. Nor is this course going to be the only means of achieving these outcomes that we're looking for. There's going to have to be a continuing process, an ongoing process of identifying gaps in knowledge, of identifying difficult issues in delivering consultancy here, and delivering the tools, resources, and additional training necessary to achieve the goals that we have. But it is going to be an ambitious training that tries to set that context, set that market picture for you as a consultant. What does the market look like now? What does it look like in the past? And why is there such increased value for consultancy in this space going forward? We also want to firmly frame the role that a consultant should play within any kind of project in this space, and then improve somewhat the skill sets around management systems, around those difficult to achieve topics, difficult to conceptualize topics, and how to improve them within a company. And then a key here is going to be change management, is going to be the ability of a consultant to not do the work themselves, not own the system themselves, but to manage the change within an organization so that management, leadership, and workers all understand the program and run the program instead of the consultant doing so. So there are some basic qualifications and education requirements for being fully registered, and here in a second we will go through the different registration levels. First is just a general post-secondary degree / diploma, and then experience that indicates you are able to deliver consultancy in this space. There you can get this experience either through relevant experience, which needs further definition, but obviously you can consider things such as implementation of a management system, so managing an SAI 1000 program or related program within a company for a number of years, auditing to these programs for a number of years, or of course consultancy experience. You don't have to have all of this experience to initially register. There is a 2-year period where you can be an applicant, but you have to have met these criteria within those 2 years in order to reach registration. And then training. There is a requirement for the SAI 1000 basic course, so that basic introduction to social performance and management systems, and the SAI consultant course, which should be available in summer, the initial run of that. I will say that a lot of, obviously this is SAI who has developed this registry. A lot of the language, a lot of the viewpoint is from an SAI 1000 viewpoint, but the content and the qualifications and the requirements are applicable to any type of social performance system. And we see this registry not as being confined to the SAI 1000 world, but being applicable not just to audited systems, but our other programs and other programs outside of this organization. So there are 3 levels of SAI Consultant Registry. There is in review, which is you've submitted an application to HAP and it has not yet been reviewed. You cannot communicate externally about any of your participation in the registry if you have not had your application reviewed yet. Once it's been reviewed and once that information you've shared has been verified, you are in the system as an applicant. And so that means you're applying, but you have not fully met all of the criteria. Likely scenario is that you have not done the consultant training yet because that is not yet available. And you can be an applicant in the system for a period of up to 2 years. In order, we do this to recognize the difficulty of meeting all of the relevant experience or applicable experience, but also the training requirements. And if there are delays on SAI side in delivering the trainings, then or enough trainings depending upon the request, then we will extend that period ad hocly. In addition to all the criteria for registration, there is going to be a continuing education requirement. So relevant education, trainings, and webinars a yearly requirement that you continue to expand your knowledge. As I said, the basic course and this consultant training is not enough to impart all of the knowledge necessary to be a good consultant in this space. And then all registered consultants must agree to and meet the consultant code of conduct. This is a basic expectations around transparency, corruption, contracting, things that we feel are necessary to hold a consultant to. And I will say, ideally, SAI will be developing additional trainings and either webinars and other tools and resources for consultants to address this third bullet. There is an initial cost of $250 for application, and then there is an annual fee of $150. So every year you will have to submit an update to your work experience, qualifications, other information, the continuing education, and then HAP is going to verify all that information again. The training has a fee of $750. This is all of this together is a fair amount of money, especially for certain spaces in the globe. But these are set at as low as we could. The training, especially, is going to be a cost to SAI. We're not attempting to make an income here. We're attempting to run the program successfully, and we will likely have to work with a consultant to deliver that piece of that training around change management. All the criteria for registration must be met within 2 years. So, as I said, the first training should be delivered this summer, and then based on interest, based on need, we will deliver it as many times as we need to over the next few years and going forward. So with the funds that come in from this program, we want to reinvest them back into the program. We want to identify tools, resources, trainings, relevance to social consultancy, and deliver them to registrants. This has dual purposes, right? So if I'm a consultant using this tool, the resource, and the training, this content could also be available to other actors. But we hope to continually support the system so that it does become an effective program. We will likely connect the registration to the SAI database. In an immediate sense, we will be sharing a public list of consultants who have registered and their status, and other basic information such as areas of expertise, qualifications, things like that will be shared publicly. So this will be a means of communicating about your registration and also sharing with stakeholders and interested clients about who you are and what you do. We will continually monitor the program and review the program for effectiveness and impact. This is if this program is not delivering what we hope it does, then we will change it. We will make changes necessary. But our goal is that it provides value for every actor. We will develop some type of complaint system, some type of basic complaint system as a kind of first check on consultant performance against the code of conduct. And then you can see in the last bullet, there may be some form of low-level oversight in the future, or some creative forms of oversight in the future as well. Maybe start with some desk review, but there will be some improved verification that consultants are following the code, are utilizing the approach, and are staying within the role identified as best practice. All right, great. That is the content. I'm going to go ahead and pull up any questions. We only have a couple of questions, so I will, if you have them, please, as I said, type them out into the chat box. Otherwise, yeah, we will not be able to have you speak the question. So please just type it out in the chat box.
Yeah, I
The
see
first
someone.
question.
Wait,
Go
just
ahead.
I see someone still has their hand up. So if you person who has their hand up, if you could just put that into the chat, whatever that question is, it would be great. Thank you. Sorry, Chris.
Yeah. When will the training be taken place in China? The training will be remote initially. It would be great if we could do in person. It'll depend on what the market looks like, how many actors from where are interested in taking the training. But the first run of it will be remote, and we'll be doing it twice in different time zones to try to address global interest. So we'll see on that how that run goes. If in the future there is significant interest in this training, we will then try to do it in person. But the training will be available in China, or at least in a time zone that is doable in China this summer. The next question is, will the SAI 8000 advanced training become a requisite for the consultants that were eligible for the registry, or just the SAI 8000 consultant course? We did consider the advanced training. Likely no. It's really a delivery side of this, that SAI does not deliver the advanced training enough places to really service the consultant program. We will likely instead focus our efforts on developing other resources and other trainings, be them online, easy to access, to impart additional information that we think is relevant to consultancy. The advanced training is great. It's a good concept. We don't believe it's necessary for a consultant to do a good job to have that advanced training around auditing. Can APSCA approve auditor can do the consultancy? So if you're an auditor and you're interested in doing consultancy, there are huge challenges in terms of conflict of interest. So if you're working as a consultant in an organization and you are a freelance auditor and you've worked with all of the certification bodies in the in the region, you really can't do consultancy, because there is an immediate conflict of interest once your client goes and gets audited by one of those certification bodies. If somehow you've only worked with one certification body and you clearly outline the conflicts within the contract with your client, and you ensure the client does not work with that certification body now or in the future, it can be managed. But ideally, you're not doing both auditing and consultancy at the same time, because those conflicts are pretty ripe. Can you share any more on what you're thinking with regard to defining relevant experience? Not at this time. I think it's a typical concept to define. That's why we haven't fully defined it. We flushed out some ideas, but we need to do that in the next couple weeks regardless for HAP. For HAP to be able to effectively do their job, we have to have really defined scope of what relevant experience means. I think there will be arguments saying that this is relevant, and we'll have to see, even if it's not listed, we'll have to see how we address that as well. But definitely expect to see something very soon. How many days will this training be? The training is we are developing it right now. It was conceptually going to be 3 days, but because we're going to be doing it remotely, and you can't do 3 full days of training remotely, it will likely be 5 days of like 4 to 5 hours per day. Would this training cover basic training of 8,000 and consultancy both? No, the consultant training is only the scope of it is only it does not cover the basic training as well. How will HAP verify project-based experience? Let's say 70 projects for different investors in 10 years, not SAI and affiliated. It'll be a sampling, so you'll share not 70 different projects, but you'll share 4 to 5 that 10, however many, and then HAP will contact those organizations to verify that you did work with them, as stated during the time. Can you share the minimum qualification criteria for consultants? I did go over that briefly, and there are also there's a criteria document that goes over in detail. We will, after this webinar, we will be sharing all of that documentation, those links. Again, we'll share this slide deck, and we will also share a recording of this webinar for you can share with other colleagues that maybe didn't get to participate. Do those who are already HAP approved need to re-register for this course? This is a different program. The registration is different than HAP's other programs, so yeah, you would have to go through the registration separately, I believe. Is there a minimum criteria for just training? No, there is no minimum criteria for training. Any actor can take the consultant course. I could absolutely see its value for non-consultants as well. I think we'll have to likely address at least in the initial run, ensure that only consultants or those interested in consultancy are participating. There will be a limited space. And so we do not want that taken up by program persons, but long term, as the training changes, as we expand, as we improve the ability, if there is a market for it, if we improve the ability of other actors to deliver the training or related trainings, then it could be more and more open to non-consultants. If facility is required to be certified for SAI 8000, is it mandatory to hire a consultant? No, it is not mandatory that a company hire a consultant to get certified. And it's not mandatory. It won't be mandatory that they hire a registered consultant if they hire a consultant. Not immediate term. If we find 2-3 years down the line that there is there's enough of a group of consultants who are registered, and we find that the program is effective in achieving at least some of our goals that we've set for it, we may require it, but that will be based on what happens, how it actually plays out. So no requirement that you hire a consultant for the program, and no requirement that if you do, it is a registered consultant. On the monitoring of consultants' work vis-a-vis best practice, is the idea that consultants will only perform work using SAI's defined best practices. What if some clients are not interested in that approach? May we separate our work by that which is relevant to the approach in question versus other deliverables as we work on as consultants? Absolutely, there's not going to be you don't have to use the methodology that we'll be sharing in the training or in the tools or in the resources. There are many means of methodologies and tools for managing change within an organization. There are many different programs that a registered consultant might work on that have different scopes that aren't as management systems based. We do believe that a management system, a robust, mature plan, do, check, act system is the best means of achieving these social performance goals. But the check on consultants will never be about the content specifically. It'll be about the consultant meeting the code of conduct and ensuring that basic issues such as conflict of interest, corruption, bribery, contracting, those things are covered effectively. So if there is a means of delivering this content that you find is more effective than what we're outlining in the best practice, absolutely you have to be adaptable. We don't expect rigidity with that. I don't understand very well. If I work with a certification body like a freelance auditor, can I do consultancy for other clients of this certification body? No, that would be a conflict of interest within the code of conduct. If you work with a certification body and you go do consultancy for companies that also, or for clients that get audited by this certification body, there is a direct visual conflict that you can't avoid that. That would be against the code of conduct. All right, any more questions at this point? All right, we got one more coming in. If consultants provide many services to the client, can it be clubbed with other programs in a single agreement, or shall have separate agreement for SAI 8000 program? There's no confinement of if you provide multiple consultancies for a client, so for ISO and for SAI 8000, for whatever other program, it could be clubbed, and there could be an argument that it should be clubbed together because the same principles that are in the code of conduct around contracting, around defining the role, apply to other programs other than SAI 8000. These are basic best practice principles, so it does not have to be a separate agreement. Will SAI promote the registered consultants worldwide? Yes, through activities such as this, through engagement with brands and buyers around the consultant registry, through engagement with certified companies, sharing information with them about the consultant registry or companies coming into the process. As I said, we won't require registered consultants, but we will promote the program in order to in the hope that it becomes an effective, valuable program for all actors. But of course, if you're registered or you're an applicant, you will be listed on our website with all of your information. So there's a direct promotion, but we will not let the program flounder. We will continue to support it. This consultant registry is only focused on SAI 8000 or all social compliance. The concept is these concepts apply to all kind of social performance, social compliance issues, programs. SAI 8000 is the lens that we will utilize because it is that management systems lens, and other programs may not have as a robust management system approach, but management systems is applicable to any product, any program, and this consultant registry should be as well. Will the registered consultant's name be published on the SAI website? Yes. Name, website, relevant qualifications, expertise. A lot of when you go through the initial application, there are lots of context questions, and what you put in there will likely also be on the list. We're still developing the list. Will you be sharing these slides with participants? Yes, the slides and the recording of the webinar will go up on the website. Probably take us till the end of the week or early next week till all of that is out, but we'll share that with all participants who registered since we got your email address. Is there any frequency of consultant training? We will see what the market demand is. We will, as I said, be delivering 2 in separate time zones in the summer. But if there's a huge interest, then we'll immediately be scheduling additional trainings. And then long term, ideally, we would be doing these in person based on a significant interest in specific locations. But this SA1000 registry can represent WCA RAP. Absolutely, I think if you're registered to this consultant registry and you've done the training, you can say, I have this knowledge, I have this skill set, and I have this transparent verification of that. I think that is a relevant argument to any kind of social program. The SA8000 content in the basic course, it's over the last 25 years, the basic course has been applicable to other programs as well. And then the SA8000 content in the consultant training will be minimal. The management system concepts and some of that language will be within it, but the SA8000 process specific language will not be. Okay. Oh, we've got some more questions coming in. How long is the basic course attendance valid for the criteria? That is an interesting question. I think I'm not sure if we've purely defined the steps. We're not sure on that one. I think it could be for a long time. But we are, the basic course changes over time, so we will assess, 10 years ago, was it substantially different than it is now? And then tangentially, we are also revising the SA8000 standard. So in the future, there may be a requirement, say if you haven't done the basic course in 10 years, and we have this new standard, and we have likely substantially new training, that you have to do a refresher or something like that. But that will be defined in the future. Okay, well, thank you everyone so much for participating. We really appreciate your time. We hope that this was clear and that you found it interesting and that you find this program valuable. We're excited to work together over the next few years to really flesh out this program and really, there's such huge opportunity for positive impact for companies and for workers within those companies through consultancy. So this is our goal.
Yeah, I wanted to join Chris in thanking all of you for attending and for all your questions as well. We hope to see you join the registry and use the program as it's intended. And you can always come back to us with any questions.
Yes. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day or night or evening.